You're listening to the Cricket Podcast.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Cricket Podcast, where we are about to talk about the IPL. Before the auction, I think we're thinking 10 days into the past now, Ross, the distant past in terms of the Cricket Podcast, with news coming so thick and fast. We made some predictions about the tournament and the auction. We're going to be revisiting those, discussing what we got right, what we got wrong, and, whatever else comes into our brains, I suppose. Before we do that, just a quick reminder that you can find us on Twitter and Instagram at The Cricket Pod. You should like, subscribe, comment, follow, whatever, on whatever platform you are on. Drop us an email at thecricketpod@gmail.com if you want to. And we're on Patreon. And if you join Patreon, it's $5 a month. You get access to a Discord with us. You get special shows, one a month. You get the ball by ball data for the whole history of the IPL. And I think there's something else in there. I'm sure there's one other benefit. I can't remember what it is, but $5 a month it's a good deal. It's a really good deal. Ross, IPL predictions. We made, between me, you and Max, we predicted three things. The most expensive, the biggest con, and the best cheapo. That's what I've written here, which I think is the best deal, the best bargain. Mm-hmm. And which one of those predictions or talking points would you like to revisit first?
Let's start at the top. Let's go the big money men.
Okay. Right. So before the auction, we bet each other a scratch card, a millionaire
scratch card. We bet each other a scratch card.
a millionaire maker scratch card. We had three guesses each at that, with the winner taking £2 worth of scratch cards, but potentially £1 million.
Potentially £1 million.
Yeah.
The IPL millionaire maker could well be coming to the Cricket Podcast.
Yes. The players we guessed, Ishan Kishan, Rabada, Shreyas Iyer, Jason Holder, Harshal Patel, Shardul Thakur, Devdutt Padikkal, and David Warner. How do you think we got on there?
Pretty well, actually.
We got number one. The first guess, Ishan Kishan, was number one, which is
that's me.
Which is good. Yeah, I think the Cock might have been. I think I've only got 8 names down there. I think someone said the Cock as well. Well, you were as the winner. Were you happy? Were you surprised? What did you think when Ishan Kishan sold 15.25 crore?
I wasn't surprised. We thought that Mumbai Indians' whole auction strategy would be pretty much get Ishan Kishan back, and they didn't do anything, did they? Before he came into the lot, until his name came up, they were just like that, kept their powder dry, and then fair play to some of the other teams have been like just pumping up his price, but I think they could have pumped harder. I think there could have been a couple more bids. I reckon they would have gone. I think we were talking that could anyone eclipse kind of the KL Rahul 17 crore mark, and we thought that Kishan might be one of those people who actually gets there. I thought Sunrisers let Mumbai Indians off the hook a little bit there. They could have got another couple of crore out of them, I reckon. But wasn't surprised, if I'm perfectly honest, for that, Jack. And I think a solid pickup actually.
Yeah. Yeah, we also on that list. We guessed Shreyas Iyer. He was the third most expensive player, 12.25 crore. He was one of the first guys to come out the hat, wasn't he?
Not worth it. Absolutely not worth it.
I went for quite a lot. Yeah, 12.25. And also from the top 5 most expensive players, we got Shardul Thakur right, who went for 10.25. There were a couple of players we didn't guess, although you said one of them could go for a lot of money. Liam Livingstone, 11.5 crore, the 4th most expensive player, and Deepak Chahar, 14 crore, the 2nd most expensive player. You said Chahar.
See that go.
You did say Chahar might be somebody who'd go for a lot of money.
Didn't see it going at 14 crore though. That was for a medium paces. If you think of that list there that we read out there, Harshal Patel went for over 10 crore.
Yeah,
but Prashad Krishna went for 10. I mean, he's not quite medium pace, but he pretty much is medium fast. Deepak Chahar, Shardul Thakur. What a time to be an Indian pace bowler.
Yeah. And Livingston 11.5 as well to Punjab. Now, I think that's a little bit much for him, but we'll see.
I think it's like for someone he's unproven in the IPL, right? He wasn't particularly well utilised at Rajasthan Royals last year. And didn't really have that position in the batting lineup, and hasn't really turned it on. And I think in the last year he's got a pretty poor record actually. In his last 10 games or so that he's played, it's been pretty bad. But hopefully, form is temporary, class is permanent for him. And we know that Dan Weston absolutely loves him, and he's a big six hitter, right? His percentages when it comes to boundary percentage is fantastic, and it's even the ratio of fours to sixes are definitely in the sixes favour or nearly in the sixes favour for Livingston. So I think Punjab won't regret that pickup.
Yeah. That's most expensive people done. Was there anyone else that sold for a lot of money that you were surprised by, or I mean, this is sort of treading on conman territory a little bit, but anyone from the expensive players list that you think should have gone for a lot, or anyone that you predicted might go for a lot that didn't?
It's always a difficult one, right? Because the logic kind of sometimes, most of the time, gets thrown out the window when it comes to the IPL auction, and so I'm not sure if I'm actually surprised at any of it really. I think the only bit and there was a couple of bits just annoyed me, like Hasaranga, for example. Hasaranga, RCB could have retained him, and they definitely would have got for far less than the 10.75 they kind of came back with, and that just irked me a little bit. I think even though you lose, say, 9 crore out of your purse, etc., I just thought it was a bit silly.
Yeah. Conmen. Do you want to know who we predicted for conmen?
Oh yes.
That's my girlfriend coming back. I'm gonna have to shut the door quickly. We'll have a little break here.
And then I think the con men are always about who do we think is going to kind of manage to get themselves a deal, but actually not worth it. Just has somehow stolen kind of the amount of money that they've gone for.
Yeah, well segued. Max guessed Tim David. He thought he would go for too much money and would be a backup. You said Devon Conway because he had Con in his name. I listened back to this. That was your reasoning. I said Mitch Marsh. Right. So here, Tim David and Mitch Marsh did sell for both quite a lot of money. I stand by Mitch Marsh. I think we'll get to the end of the season and we will be saying that man stole money from Delhi Capitals. Devon Conway, though, went for base price. Are you still standing by the Conman Conway tag?
Look, sometimes the logic on this show doesn't make too much sense. And saying Con in the name would have been there. For the price of one Devon Conway, RCB could have had 7 Devon Conways for the price they picked up Faf du Plessis. And that's I think for CSK, that is a fantastic pickup. And it could well be one of the bargains of the season, actually, Jack.
What about Devon? Not Devon Conway. Tim David. Do you reckon Max was right calling that? Will he be a backup this year, or do you see him?
I think he's going to play
a fair amount.
I think he'll play nearly every game. I think they've brought him in to replace Hardik Pandya, and replacing Hardik Pandya is going to be a tough ask. But I think having Tim David and Kieran Pollard in that 5-6 for them, where they've got Ishan Kishan, Rohit Sharma, Suryakumar Yadav, and kind of someone else in that bracket. I'm not quite sure in their team who fits there. They've got a couple of players.
Apparently, is the guy.
Yeah,
that's
they've got
word on the street.
Yeah,
a child.
But that's the thing. They've got a couple of people who could fit in that kind of role. I think he'll play an awful lot, especially for the 8 and a bit crore he went for.
Oh, definitely this season as well. Well, they haven't got Jofra Archer. I think that makes their overseas selections pretty clear. And because they spent all that money on Ishan Kishan, then they don't need to use an overseas slot for someone opening the batting like they had to with Quinton de Kock last year. They're pretty sorted when it comes to Indian talent in those roles. Mumbai, basically everything they did made sense, and they're going to have a really good team again, aren't they? That's how this has gone.
And they're going to play a third of their games at their home ground, pretty much, aren't they? So it's all right.
Yeah, but I'm not sure about the spinner. That's the only thing. Probably won't matter, will it? Anything else? So there's who we predicted for comment. Anyone that you thought went for a fair whack? I mean, Mitch Marsh, I think I'm 100% sure he's going to be a waste of money. But besides Mitch Marsh, is there anyone you thought went for a fair amount that you would say didn't deserve it?
Shreyas Iyer at 12.25.
Yeah.
I think just that amount of money for like you've bought an anchor there. You bought a domestic anchor. I'm just not too sure in IPL terms and in T20 terms what the difference is between a Shreyas Iyer and a Manish Pandey. And Manish Pandey went for 4 crore. Shreyas Iyer's gone for 3 times that. I'm not saying that Shreyas Iyer is like below Manish Pandey. I'm just kind of saying in terms of value for T20 cricket, I just don't see it, and maybe that's my own fault. But again, as we've talked about before, you pay a captaincy tax, and we just don't think the captaincy tax is worth it on this show. The other players, I don't think Tawatia is worth 9 crore.
No.
Washington Sundar at 8.75 is a fucking joke, but that's Sunrisers Hyderabad for you, baby. And then also Mavi at 7.25. Again, not too sure he's in that bracket, but yeah, I think when you look down the list, I've got one in front of me of Shreyas Iyer, Sundar. I think Puran at 10.75 is too much money, but I think he'll still be a useful player. The Lord at 10.75, again, medium, like his record in the IPL isn't that good, and he's gone for 10.75 crore, and then Tawatia completing that top 5.
Yeah, I'd agree with pretty much everything you said there. I'm not. Yeah, conman. I just can't get over Mitch Marsh even being sold.
David Miller's the one for me, really. He went only for 3 crore, but he's gone to the
Armada too much.
Yeah, Armada bad boys have been mugged off by his 2014 form. That's 8 years ago. He hasn't done anything for 8 years.
Cheapos. Do you want our predictions?
Yes, please.
I guessed Natarajan, Prasidh Krishna, and Rahul Tripathi. Now I guessed Prasidh Krishna the day before he took 4 for 5 or something like that against West Indies. So obviously that one went out the window immediately. You couldn't see that one. Like as soon as he did that, he was clearly going to go for loads of money. Tripathi, I was surprised by going for the amount that he did. Good player, but he went for mega bucks basically. Max said Gurbaz, Tripathi as well, and Josh Philippe. I don't remember Gurbaz and Philippe being picked up. Do you, Ross?
They weren't picked up, Jack. That's why.
Yeah.
So at the moment, you're both of your predictions, you've got 1 out of the 3 who are potential.
Yeah. You said Jake Lintott and a bunch of other guys.
Jake Lintott didn't get sold.
No.
I tell you what though,
we didn't do that well on cheapos. I'd say as a collective. Although Natarajan was all right. He was reasonably cheap.
Yeah, I think from the view, I think I might have mentioned Benny Howe, and he did get picked up for 40 lakh. And I think he will play a couple of games. But I think, who do you think the best deals are, Jack? Because I've got a list in front of me, but who do you think has been the best bargains so far?
So I think Jason Roy at base is pretty good. Somebody who will play, will add value, does things that the domestic player pool doesn't do so well. I thought compared to the other Indian seamers, Umesh Yadav is pretty well priced. Like he doesn't have the most amazing record in the IPL, but you can probably bowl him. For 2 crore, him like you talking about Mavi. What's the difference really?
People will come back to you saying, "Oh, his average is this," and it's just like, well, actually,
no. I looked at it this morning. He's played 100 matches in the IPL, and his economy's like 8.5. It's not great. It's not bad. Mm-hmm. But for 2 crore, that's 2 to 4 reliable domestic overs a match. Mm-hmm. And maybe he can learn a slower ball and get that economy rate down to 8, and then he's good. And you have to factor in that he's a good bowler, and there's going to be 14 and extra. What was it? There's a bunch of extra Indian players that will come into the tournament that will be worse than the worst Indian player that was in the tournament last year. And that means it should be easier for Umesh Yadav to at least be average. So I thought he was fairly well priced. Lots of people have been saying Dave Warner was on a deal, and I think maybe for this season he will be, but longer term, I don't agree with that. I think he's near the price he should have sold for, or perhaps even slightly over. This one might surprise you. Krishnappa Gautam. Yeah, okay. 9.2 crore last year. I think he was under 1 crore this year. I think similar logic to Mashadov, he'll bowl and he'll be okay. Like he won't be a disaster.
He didn't play
And
last year for CSK.
He's taking up no capital, is he? So there's my list of people that are okay deals.
Fair. I've got a top 5 here. I've got Bairstow. I thought Bairstow at 6.75 is a great deal for Punjab. I think that is a fantastic pickup.
I mean, he's not cheap, is he?
No, but I think in terms of what you're getting for Bairstow, I think you're getting one of the elite T20 batters, right?
Yeah.
T20 opening batsman. He can bat at 4. He's fantastic against spin and really good against pace as well. That is a talent set that you want. And he also can wicket keep if need to be. I think Sandeep Sharma at 50 lakh is also a pretty good pickup actually for Punjab. 50 lakh is bargain basement, and I think actually he'll play. And it's kind of that bit where I think he'll do okay. Devon Conway I've already talked about at 1 crore. And I thought Adam Milne was also a nice pickup at 1.9 crore for CSK. I thought it was quite an adept pickup by them. Yeah,
I like Adam Milne at that price as well. He'll certainly get game time, I'd have thought, and it should be pretty good. Ross, anything else on the IPL that you would like to mention right now?
We want to know if you are a Patreon member and you do not have an IPL team yet, we are going to do a Who Do You Support show. So 2 years ago, Jack, Max and I picked names out of a hat. I got Rajasthan Royals, Jack, you got Mumbai Indians, and Max got CSK. And I think we should redo that, Jack. We're just with a bit of a wider thing. So if anybody wants us to pick them a team in the IPL to support for this season, get in touch with us at the Cricket Pod on Twitter, message us on Patreon, or email us thecricketpod@gmail.com, and we'll get you involved in the big
Discord.
draw.
If you're on the Discord, which you will be if you're a Patreon. We can do that. Right. We're going to take another break, then we'll come back with PSL Corner and your questions.